Ghana has an obligation to implement the United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights. The principles, according to the United Nations Human Rights, apply to all state and business enterprises. To facilitate the process, the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice (SHRAJ) has organized a national stakeholder consultative forum at WA to discuss a national action plan on business and human rights.
The international human rights law requires that states respect, protect, and fulfill the human rights of individuals within their territory and/or jurisdiction. This includes the duty to protect against human rights abuse by third parties, including business enterprises. The United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights believes that failure to enforce existing laws that directly or indirectly regulates business respect for human rights is a significant legal gap in state practice. The Stakeholder Consultative Forum on Implementation of a National Action Plan was organized by SHRAJ and sponsored by ActionAid Ghana. It was to, among other things, educate stakeholders on the concept of fundamental human rights and freedoms and also present an overview of the draft National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights. The project manager of ActionAid Ghana, Mr. Samuel Sabuli, said the organization is working to support communities to build their capacity to identify and resist human rights violations in any form or kind.
In Ghana, ActionAid is implementing the project in partnership with the General Agricultural Workers Union as our key partner. The project, since its inception, has built the capacity of state institutions like you gathered here to implement measures to prevent, identify, and protect vulnerable groups and victims of modern slavery. We have also worked with businesses to implement what we call the anti-modern slavery measures to prevent, identify, and tackle the use of human trafficking, forced labor, including the worst form of child labor, in their operations and supply chains.
A co-chairperson of the National Action Plan Steering Committee, Mrs. Mary Nati, said Ghana has ratified most of the United Nations human rights treaties and the country is required to respect, protect and fulfill the fundamental human rights and freedoms of all persons.
The Commission on Human Rights cannot do it alone. The Attorney General representing the states cannot do it alone. But it requires a complementary approach, all of us coming on board to ensure that we respect the rights of all persons.
The Upper West Regional Director of the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, Mr. Siddiq Ubaidu, said the development, adoption, and effective implementation of a national action plan on business and human rights will only be successful with broader consultation and support from key stakeholders.